Talk about an artist, they gon' say me. Talk about some rappers, they gon' say weak. Most of the time they wagging, ban and gatekeep. At 14, I was selling rocks right off of State Street. No, we don't relate, see. Most these niggas mimic what they watch, then get short-winded when they scrimmage on the clock. Philanthropist spirit, independent, my business on the block. Penalized pussy, just give me like 2 minutes in the box. You got a wholesale price, but we buy it cheaper. Pot of water me. I'm in the club with the firekeepers, try to follow me. That's funeral visits with quiet features. Rehearse my alibi with the lawyers, they try to reach us. I'm on a rage rant, puffing on this haze plant. That 3-5 look like a whole fool sage branch.
Hey, what up? And we in Cold Red, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm your host, The Playmaker, and we got a very, very special guest in the building. Yodot, what's happening?
What's going on, KB?
Hey, man, all is good, man, all is good. I'm glad to have you here.
No doubt.
Man, I have some very in-depth questions to ask you. You ready?
Some in-depth questions?
Yeah.
I'm rocking.
All right, let's get right to it. So, Dot, I always start off asking the artist, how did you get your name?
Yodot. Originally, my rap name was YOLA, but it was a conflict of basically T.I. having an artist at that time named DJ YOLA, signed to Grand Hustle. So when I did songs, I always mess with or play with the aspect of, just coming up with an alter alias. So I would say Yodot, you know what I mean, at the beginning of some of my songs, to the point some of my musical homies would take that from the song and started like coining me that as far as, just an alter ego, and it kind of stuck. And then when I actually took it on, instead of having the name YOLA, I created an acronym for it, basically saying, yesterday only determines our tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's dope, too. Not only have I been a big fan of your music, we've been friends a long time.
Yeah, you my guy.
So the artist part of it always intrigued me. Because you off of, what street you off of?
38th and Burleigh, right between Hour and Burleigh. Because, you can be between Chambers and Burleigh, but I'm on the side by Final Lot. You know what I mean?
So is that considered to be the Burleigh Zoo, too?
Man, all of it. Actually, man, I wouldn't say the origin of Burleigh Zoo, but I got a taste of it, man. We don't put too much on camera, but I remember one particular summer when some homies from 2-6 was actually basically combined with 40th, and from that summer, man, it got interesting. But I think Burleigh Zoo is an assortment of all the neighborhoods, from the Trays to the Deuces, you know what I mean, to the Foes, Uptown. So it's really an assortment, you know what I mean. So it's not really one block. But yeah, I'm definitely, if you want to identify with that, I'm definitely from the zoo.
Okay. Now, when you started rapping, it was like maybe early 90s, would you say?
Yeah, man, believe it or not, I wrote my first rap when I was, if you can actually write at that time, like 7, 8 years old, man. So
Okay.
Crisscross was a early inspiration, so early 90s, definitely.
Okay. So, seeing that you started rapping in the early 90s, and your style, was it the typical sound of a Milwaukee artist?
Yeah.
I mean, you've always had an East Coast feel by being real lyrical.
Right.
With catchy punchlines, with a hard edge.
Mm-hmm.
How did you fit in with all the gangster rap that was going on at that time?
What really helped me was I was part of a music collective of some older brothers. It was about like 6 to 8 of them, but everybody had their own, basically choice of music. So it was East Coast, Midwest at the time. Do or Die, Twister was really, really hot. You got the Suave houses, you know what I mean? So they dominated really a lot of our radio here. And but it was a few older cats within that collective that had their own preference of like an East Coast music. So once I started hanging around this music collective and they started teaching me how to write music in song format, count bars, I just really gravitated to more of the lyricism part of the music, which was kind of like East Coast heavy. And like I said, with having that big conglomerate of big homies, it wasn't really no conflict. It was just more so me actually making sense when I rap, and the raps actually sounding good, because I was the younger artist and they always gave me a hard time if I wanted to actually feature on one of their songs. So as long as the lyrics was correct, that was cool.
Okay. From decade to decade, kept that same energy, same flow, but you seem to update your flow for the current climate of hip hop. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I got more within the last 5 to 10 years. I got more in depth with songwriting. So I got more in tune with the BPMs. I got more in tune with the pockets as far as deliveries and flow. So I always tell younger artists, as long as you stay in tune with the aesthetic, as far as, you know, the tempo of the music, it's easier to gravitate and evolve as far as in your sound. So I think that's what helped me to stay relevant and to stay passionate about it, is because I understand the science behind, you know, the whole thing as far as songwriting. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, you can make a hit, but I think what really defines you as an artist is songwriting, because there's so many avenues that you can graduate to from being a rapper to eventually being a songwriter.
Okay. What significant differences and similarities do you see with the indie music sense here versus 10 years ago?
With the scene here now versus 10 years ago, a lot of more digital platforms as far as to be accessible to indie artists now, like the TikToks, the Instagrams, you know what I mean, the X, formerly known as Twitter. So a lot of those resources, the consumer basically gets to get to know the artist firsthand, you know what I mean, through these platforms. So that's one thing I noticed versus 10 years ago, it was just on the cusp of kind of like that regional separation of, you know, a sound of a certain demographic, or, you know what I mean, East Coast, West Coast. So, which makes music more, you know what I mean, just worldly for everybody, you know what I mean? It don't sound just, it still do in certain places, but yeah, but the platforms, the digital platforms, and artists is learning a business acumen also. I think a lot of younger artists understand the game. They understand how to promote, how to market. They understand, they share the music as far as splits. They understand touring. So a lot of that information wasn't accessible to us. It was, but you have to filter through a PR or manager. So I think that's one of the benefits, is them being able to take their career firsthand, you know, control of it and do what they want to do.
You being considered an OG in the music game today, when you see a new artist or up and coming artist that has the potential, what is the first thing you say to them?
First, I congratulate them. I let them know first and foremost, especially if I've been tapped into their music. You know what I mean? That you got some, you know what I mean, brother, a young lady. But I also let them know, like, you know, it's layers and levels, but not to put that immediate pressure on them. But I also let them know, like, this the platform for whatever you want to do beyond this. You know what I mean? Media, acting, you know what I mean? So take advantage of it. Don't put all your eggs into one basket as far as pursuing the music, and enjoy the moment. You know what I mean? Because, you know what I mean, that time can get away from you so fast, to the point, you know what I mean, you'll think that you still get that recognition and notoriety, but that notoriety is then passed on to the next artist. So I tell them to enjoy the moment and always set themselves up for the next step.
Do you find yourself going into your history of how you started with the artist when you first sit down to talk to them?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I always give them a disclaimer, like, you know, my history and my experience won't dictate or determine what you do next, but I'm going to always give you a little context of how this was at this time versus how it is currently. So I always give them that context, and give them that advice of what worked for me and what didn't work for me. But along with that, I give them 1,000 industry stories about Pharrell stories, Eminem stories, just to kind of motivate them, you know, to let them know, like, you know, a person from this place and this location can actually be successful and still be content with it. You know what I mean?
So you would say that you get real in depth with them and tell them what inspired you to pursue your career, and you tell them how you got started in hopes that it would help them understand that they got a long journey ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I put it in simple terms. I always tell an artist, it's always better to take the stairs than the elevator. You know what I mean? So, and also I tell artists, once you lose your passion, as far as pursuing music, and other things start to get in the way, as far as the business or finances or what you're entitled to, it kind of throws you off track as far as the direction that you originally got in, was headed in, as far as loving the music and stuff like that. So, yeah, I give them all types of aspects as far as the examples of what worked for me and what I went through, and the success, also the failure points too, because I think that's one thing that a lot of artists don't hear. They hear the success stories, but they also don't hear the opportunity areas, you know what I mean, as far as where you can improve in.
Okay. You talked about your stories with Eminem. Well, let me scratch that. You've been around the hip hop scene, and you've dealt with so many high-powered lyricists, and you got so many stories to tell, from Eminem's to Benny the Butcher. You want to share some of that?
Yeah, man. I always tell artists, man, it's all about just. I always tell artists, find out who the behind the scenes people are, the managers, the role managers, because that's how you kind of finagle your way into the circle, as far as building that network. Not to say to be an opportunist or be sneaky, but it's always the people that have the power behind the artists. A lot of aspiring artists don't understand that, but yeah, man, I got stories. Yeah, man, I remember Benny came here for Hip Hop Week, basically at the rave. So I went to go see Jadakiss, basically at the rave, and I had just did a song with Benny the Butcher artist, this cat named Rick Hyde, and also Stove God Cooks was actually there too. West Side Gun artist Stove God, shout out to Stove God. But I'm just gonna tell you how 6 Degrees of Separation works. So I go to see the Kiss show. My homeboy Dane come out like, "Hey, yo, Rick Hyde here." And mind you, I had just did a song with Rick Hyde. If y'all check that out, Hustler Spirit. It's on YouTube. It's on my last project, Dystopia, entirely produced by Lex with the Records. But so Rick Hyde come out like, "Yo, what's up?" He give me dap and everything. And I got a homeboy from Chicago named Easy O'Hare. Easy O'Hare is cool with Stove God. So I see Rick Hyde and I see Stove God. I'm like, "Yo, what's up?" You know what I mean? He give me a dap. And then I see Easy. I'm like, "Yo, what's up, Easy?" Didn't even know this man was here, but he's cool with Stove God. And Stove God goes to me like, "Yo, you know this nigga?" I'm like, "Yeah, you caught a case up here and shit like that." And and we all just had a good laugh. But it's just funny how stuff becomes full circle just by networking, and you never know who you'll run into, and how within that situation, like, you get pulled backstage, or the doors just open up for you.
And it's crazy you speak about 6 Degrees of Separation. Easy O'Hara, what up, my boy?
Yeah, shout
You
out
know
to
what
my
I mean?
boy Easy.
Yeah, my boy Easy. I met
Yeah.
him through Eastside Crazy D's. Actually, they coming up here to sit on the platform.
Wow,
So,
that's my dog. Yeah, shout out to Easy
That's
over
what's
here,
happening,
man.
man, because 6 Degrees is real.
Yeah.
So, not only are you a lyricist, you have the knack to produce beats. Do you produce beats?
I used to do beats, but I work closely with the producers. So when it comes time, like, to get a track, like, if I don't like certain elements, and it's not all the time, I might tell them to take out some hi-hats, you know what I mean, add a bridge here. So I'm really hands-on when it comes to composing and basically the final product.
Oh, Yodot just trying to get points off both ends, y'all. He gonna add a ding in for the production.
No, absolutely, man. You can't leave nothing on the table, KB.
No doubt, man. So tell me, what's your strong points in your strong? What's your strong points in your songwriting ability? Help describe your artist sound.
Yeah, man. I like I said earlier, I think it goes beyond just having a beat, having a 2-track, having an MP3 or a wave from a producer. I want to actually live with the beat, actually go through different flows and pockets. I call them pockets, as far as not out rapping the beat and not under rapping the beat. You know what I mean? Because it's always a peculiar sound that actually catches the consumer, man. So I understand now that music is more up tempo. So I always look at the BPMs, basically the instrumentation. You don't want to have too many chords, too much bass, too many hi-hats, because you don't want to drown out the sound of your vocals. And also you don't want to basically have your vocals basically overpowering the beat. So it got to be that perfect mesh as far as that. But yeah, songwriting, man, I take it to the next level, man, as far as just pockets. You know what I mean? Even to the point of syllables, rhyme words. It's a whole science, man, to the point you get lost in it, to the point 6 months you look up and you ain't got a project out and it's like, damn, man, I gotta get this shit out here, versus, you know what I mean, just trying to be a mad scientist. So it's a whole process to it.
I've always believed that independent was always major. That was my outlook, even when cats was searching to get a deal. They have to become independent before they get major. So you have to be a major independent in a sense, and think of yourself as a major.
Absolutely.
If that make any sense. So with that being said, I want to say, what are the key components that you think that will help elevate a indie artist when they transition into the majors?
Presentation, first and foremost. Not to say you got to look like Dennis Rodman or some bizarre type of character, you know what I mean? But you always want to make sure your presentation stands out from the rest of all the other product out there. So presentation is one thing. Quality too, man. You got to make sure the sound quality. Not to say that every artist has access to the same studios and equipment, but you want to make sure the aesthetic of the beat, the transition, it sounds quality. What else, man? It's a couple more things I want to say, man. Presentation, sound quality, also marketing. You know what I mean? You can't be doing things just improv, sporadic. You know what I mean? You got to write out your action plan. I tell a lot of people it's always good to have a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day action plan as far as the marketing rollout, and also execute each week, each day, what target area you want the consumer to gravitate towards. So marketing, presentation, sound quality, and just being an overall good human being. Just being, not to say that you want to be receptive to too much information as far as coming up doing music, because you can be misled, but also be an active listener. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a younger person, always take information from, trusted older sources that can really get you to the next level, man. And have a budget. Most importantly, have a budget. Like a lot of artists don't realize. Shout out to my homeboy Samir. The record labels hold the top 5 spots in Billboard. People don't understand that. Like, you can be the greatest indie artist. I shouldn't have let that out the bag. You can be the greatest indie artist, but you'll always be number 6 on the charts, because corporations and labels basically pay for those first 5 slots. So have a budget, because you can't get anywhere. You know what I mean? I think the average record label spends, or the average indie person, just to get the song syndicated and go into rotation on national radio, is like $200K, bro. So just keep in mind, just have a budget. So that's my advice.
Okay. Now, like I said, you never switched your style. Have you ever been so frustrated with the music business that you want to dumb down your lyrics, per se, to try to fit in with the norm?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I experimented a few times, with different cadences and stuff like that to gravitate to whatever sound was popular at that time. But I never became too frustrated once I realized, in a sense, that it's all an industry. So you basically servicing a certain consumer. So I have that mindset in the back of my head that eventually music becomes full circle. So whatever, was the sound, of the past, will eventually come back around. But it definitely gets frustrating in some situations when you see certain subgenres of hip hop succeed, and then you come from a certain origin of music. But I think that's what just keeps hip hop evolving. It's just the evolution of it not staying the same, it not having the same sound, and the experimentation of just younger artists is taking it to another level. Like, I mean, I think that's what shapes civilizations and just countries. Like people not understanding it, but eventually them, not per se just just laying down and just being subjective to whatever's out there, but just getting a perspective and an understanding of it, and then just basically letting the people that's introducing new information to you, just being able to be receptive to it.
Okay. So I guess it's safe to say that, I guess I want to ask you, do you feel by staying true to your style of hip hop kind of delayed your progress?
I would say yes and no. I would say yes because, like I said before earlier, in order to monetize and to be able to basically move forward, you have to sacrifice. So I say in that aspect, yeah, I think me not sacrificing to be current definitely took a hit because, man, the life expectancy of music now, man, is they drop like 20,000 songs each week, like crazy amount of artists. So you can get lost in the sauce. And then for the no aspect, I think it's just the integral aspect. Just my morals and my values. Like, not to say I'm this deep spiritual person, but it's always that voice, it's always that spirit inside of me that's always spoke to me. As far as what I stand on, and what I believe in, what I don't believe in. And sometimes that can be stubbornness as well, as far as integrity. So I think yes and no. I think that kind of delayed and prolonged the process.
Okay, that brings me to the next question. If you had to change one thing in your music journey, career, what would that be?
Man, that's a good question. Probably relocating to a bigger market, I would say.
Would that be East Coast, West Coast, down south?
That's a good question. I would say more so California. I think a lot of the business is based out there. A lot of firsthand resources are accessible out there. So yeah, I think if I would have relocated to a bigger market per se out west, I would have got a lot more opportunities. And if music, basically, if that wheel didn't get turned, it would have been a lot more avenues to move into, like media, acting, things of that nature. So definitely would have relocated if I could do it again.
Okay. You having full custody of your son, being a 24-hour dad, doing music, working a job, how do you juggle all of that?
Just being proactive, man. I was lucky enough to be raised by a mom that was, I wouldn't say militant, but she had a routine. I seen my mom always wake up early, go to work. So I always had those adult figures around me that, that worked. So what's crazy is, well, it's not crazy, but a lot of those characteristics and things got basically subconsciously put into my mindset. So I'm an early riser. So I always had that glimpse of, having priority and not having lazy people around me. So shout out to Mom for that. And just knowing that a lot of fathers aren't allotted the opportunity to have their child in custody. So in my mindset, everybody else like, that's good shit, man. In my mindset, I'm still tightroping. I'm still on this motherfucking tightrope. Like any particular time, the state of Wisconsin just push my ass over now, And I'll be back. So that motivated me, just knowing that it was a rare situation, and just setting an example for my kid. Like, man, I don't know how other parents feel, but I would feel like a piece of shit just waking up every morning and my kids seeing me laying around the crib or just not being productive. So that inspired me. My kid, my mom, and just having that adult circle around me that just basically set that example. It just subconsciously just was embedded in me.
Okay. You kind of a pro in two sports like Pee Wee Kirkland.
Yeah.
Recently I've been watching you in the battle rap scene. Not
Oh,
only
yeah.
are you a great lyricist, I done seen you chew some opponents up on the battlefield of rap. Rap battle. So tell me, how long you been doing that?
Man, I started out battle rapping probably in the early 2000s. Man, shout out GE, shout out man, Killer B, shout out Bankhead, Cool G. A lot of these dudes basically started battling in the early 2000s. So we used to watch Smack DVD. And we used to see at the end of the Smack DVD, you know what I mean, it was the rap battle. So, you know what I mean, I then Rock the Mic, shout out to Razor. I mean, he started hosting these events. And basically it was $30 to sign up. So, you know what I mean, it wasn't nothing. You know what I mean, $30 wasn't shit. So, but basically Razor had like 25 slots. So Razor come to your hood with the clipboard, collect your money, give you a little lanyard, you know what I mean? So that was motivating. And then from there, it evolved from Smack DVDs to Rock the Mic to basically the online battling leagues and stuff like that. But I always had that competitive spirit, though, as far as, you know what I mean, to just always get my rhymes off in like a crowd or a group or a cipher, you know what I mean, just to showcase my talents.
So what do you like more?
Rapping or music, you saying?
Battle rapping or making full songs?
I say the artist aspect because it opened up more avenues. Like, no disrespect to my battle rap homies, like y'all getting y'all paid, you know what I mean? But I just think, you know what I mean, not to say that the cosmetic acolytes or the materialistic acolytes like the Grammys and stuff outweighs battle rapping, but you can't get a Grammy off battle rap. You can't monetize. You can actually they're starting to monetize the sport now, but you can't, you know what I mean, give a next generation your catalog, which we hoping it evolve to that. But I think it's a lot more avenues and opportunities in being an actual artist versus being a battle rapper.
Well, this is a question because as you speak about it, I just want to know, is the process the same preparing for a battle rap opposed to creating a song?
Nah. I found out the hard way, KB. So I just did 2 battles right now on YouTube. Shout out to Black Elite Battle League. Shout out to man, all the battle leagues here, man. Black Ice, all of y'all, man. But man, the battle rap preparation now is crazy, man. Like, you got people feeding your opponent information, false information. You got people calling you, asking you about the battle. You got your opponent trolling you online, tagging you and shit. So it's a whole nother animal with battle rap versus making a song where you can basically be at peace, your solitude in your studio. Ain't nobody trolling you, ain't no diss songs coming through, none of that shit. So I definitely think it's more of a walk in the park to be an artist versus being battle. It's crazy, KB. Like, man, I did 2 battles, man. Cats was hitting my phone. Cats was my opponents was tagging me and shit, and my people seeing it like, yo, what's up with? I'm like, nah, it's just all entertainment, brother. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's crazy. Like, certain battle leagues, it's a whole. But,
So it get like that for real?
Man, battle league is a whole culture within itself, bro. And I left for 13 years and didn't realize how territorial, how prideful, how people love their battle rappers, man.
It evolved into something different,
bro.
huh?
It's a whole nother animal, KB.
Well, you know, it is millions of dollars at stake.
Yeah.
You know, in that battle rap, it's becoming part of the culture for real, for real. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Code Red. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And we out.